All right, you youngins, it's time for a little bit of a history lesson, and to teach us today, we brought in two of the sexiest people in all of the world because we wanted the history lesson to be something interesting. And we're joined by Diego Luna and Rosario Dawson with the new movie Cesar Chavez. Thank you for joining us on DC 50 TV today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, thank you.
So now, why are you hiding your beautiful, beautiful face behind the camera as a director now?
Well, I don't know, I've been acting for quite a long time, you know. I think it's not just me, also the audience must be tired, so I think it's, I don't see how I could be part of this film, you know. This film portrays the story of an American hero and people that were born here, first generations, and the experience of a first generation, it's quite unique, and it's something you cannot ask an actor just to do. It's either you have it or not, you know, the feeling of being born in a place that reminds you every day you don't belong, the feeling of your family coming from a place you're not allowed to go because obviously they're all scared of not being able to come back, and living on that age, and you know, that duality of having to spend all day long when you're in school in English and then go back home and talk in Spanish, and it's quite complex, and I think the cast of this film is the best cast I could get because they understand that, you know, they understand that feeling. I was always a tourist here. It's different, it's a different experience.
Well, you know, it's amazing, you know, because Cesar Chavez Day is just, you know, a few days away, the 31st of March. You know, I've even seen some of you talk about a little bit that, you know, there's a Cesar Chavez Boulevard almost in every street. Or every city. There's a Cesar Chavez Way in every city. Yet people don't really understand who he was and who Dolores Huerta was as they united the farm workers all throughout California.
Yeah, I know. It's really remarkable that there's never been a film about Cesar Chavez or Dolores or any of this movement. You know, this is one of the largest and most incredible nonviolent movements the world has ever seen. You know, this was something that wasn't just some farm workers coming and organizing together, and it's a Latin American story. This is a huge American story that reached out through the White House and out to Europe and beyond. So when we know about Gandhi and we know about Martin Luther King, and this is something that we all hold dear to our hearts, we recognize it with national holidays. We have time that we really teach this history in our school books because it's important to kind of foster that type of leadership and understanding and inspiration for our young people. And yet we have these boulevards and murals and people don't know the name or the movement behind it. So it just shows that why this film is necessary and really exciting, and what an opportunity to celebrate this history and honor it is to celebrate it because it's not been done. But also just the chance that we get then to go, you know, we need to make Cesar Chavez's birthday a national holiday. It's celebrated in some states and cities, but not across the board. And so it's like, well, why not? This is a really important thing, and let's make March 31st his birthday into a national day of action, because I think that would be one thing that he'd be very pleased with, because he was not someone who really liked actually to be singled out against the movement. You know, he was an organizer of many people, and he recognized that it was all the farm workers who came on board, it was all the house moms who decided to stop eating grapes, it was everybody that made that movement possible. But if the day of his birthday could be a day of action where everyone would come together and do something, I think he'd be very pleased with that.
And you can make that happen, in fact, by signing a petition in takepart.com/Cesar Chavez, and we're putting a petition to make a national day of service for Cesar.
Great. Well, I don't think people understand today, you know, what the farm workers were facing in the 50s and the early 60s, and why this movement started, and even as the movement started, the danger that Cesar and Dolores were facing, you know, trying to just get some justice and get a fair working condition. And I think that was one of the amazing things from the movie, was kind of seeing all that. I mean, did you get some insight from Dolores as far as, you know, what was going on behind the scenes, or anything from the Chavez family that helped out with that?
Yeah, well, I mean,
quite a lot.
In fact, so much information that it was impossible to put all in a film, you know. But many tried before, and they failed, you know. And something special happened here, and it was because not just Cesar, but everyone in the movement, Dolores, Gilbert, they brought confidence to this community, and they showed them it was about them, you know. They always said this is a movement of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So they showed everyone we are capable of bringing change to our communities. It's about us, you know. It's not about a leader. It's about what we are capable of doing, and how much strength we have if we organize, you know, if we unite, if we get out of here and find out who thinks like we do, you know.
And that's inspiring because that's what needs to still happen today. Again, this is not like isolating some historic moment that's then had tons of success and now we've been able to move on from this issue. Only 20% of farm workers are unionized. You still have 80% of people who are still struggling to have the same basic human rights that they were fighting for then. So it just really shows, you know, opens up the dialogue and the conversation to go, okay, how can we continue to grow this? Because it's still so necessary. So if you're touched by this movement, you're touched by this history, and you're learning about something that you've never seen before, now you know that you can also be a part of that conversation that can make it, grow it to be something much more inclusive of everyone, and maybe make a real permanent change that would be a solution for this crisis, because it is a real big issue. I mean, obviously we all eat food, so it's not that any of us are not involved in this. It's just about whether or not we see ourselves in it. If we recognize that this food that we have in front of us here in America, which is the most accessible food on the planet and the most inexpensive food on the planet, that where that price is actually being paid. And if you're not paying it, who is? I think that's a really amazing opportunity that we have to ask this question, because Dolores is still on the front lines doing this work. Cesar Chavez's family is still doing this work. The UFW still exists. This is still going on. And that's what's also really great about it, is that this is a live conversation. This is a now conversation. It's not just some historic, old, dusty thing that we're going back and just going, oh, wasn't that nice to reminisce about something in the past? It's like, wow, I'm involved in this. That's actually quite exciting.
No, it really is. And you think about what's happened over the past 7 or 8 years just in America and around the world, you know, the Great Recession and the things that employees have gone through, whether they be working out in the fields or they're working in an office someplace. I almost wonder, where is today's Cesar Chavez? Is he still out there? Or is Dolores still out there? Maybe she's our savior.
Well, Dolores is still out there doing this work, but I think, again, it's like when you even look at the film, which I really love, is that it shows how many people it took to make this movement possible. You know, Cesar could not have done this on his own. He needed to unite all of these people, some of them the most marginalized, illiterate people in the entire country, and they were able, because they came together, to have a very huge voice and a very huge impact. So it really just shows, you know, it's like, it wasn't just showing the story of this one man, but also showing his wife, who had 8 children, and it wasn't just a wife and mother, but she was running the credit union, and she was doing so much work, and we got finally an opportunity to see the women that were also part of the movement, and, you know, things that we don't normally get to see when we kind of, you know, prop up a hero, and especially an American hero. We really kind of take away from all of the people, the community that made it happen. Martin Luther King didn't do it on his own. Gandhi didn't do it on his own. And so I think that's what's actually really remarkable, is that, again, it's about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And it shows that all of us can see ourselves in that possibility. All of us can take on a position of leadership, even if all it is just signing a petition, walking in a march, you know, voting, boycotting. We all have the benefit right now of the work that they've done to understand about economic justice, food justice, fair wages, fair trade. Like, that's something we're aware of. Now, what are we going to do about it?
Well, and hopefully people will go see the movie and they'll learn a little something about what they can do about it. Cesar Chavez is in theaters this week. Thank you so much for joining us, Diego Luna and Rosario Dawson.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you.
And good luck with the movie.
Well, hopefully people will show up, and we can make sure there's another film about this community, and hopefully soon one about Dolores and all of those heroes behind this amazing movement.